Look at that. And it's showtime, I guess, guys. Welcome to the Juneteenth holiday edition of A Howler Mouse comic book haul. Things he has piddled around and found during the month of June 2025, right? So I hope that a lot of you guys were able to have this holiday of Juneteenth off today. It is now an official banking holiday. So yeah, we had the day off today, and it actually started out as a productive day. Got a few things done around the house. At the end, all of a sudden, we had lunch and it was over. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. I looked around and saw that I had a bit of a haul, and then my Amazon haul came in, right? So right off the bat, we have the comic collector. Great to see you. It's in the make sure that you have thumbed this up. Make sure you have subscribed, hit the bell. Go ahead and share it now. Let people know that we're here, right? Maybe I'll make a shorter video of hauls, an actual video, but I don't know. I don't know, right? The live shows seem to be what's fun here, right? And we're having a thunderstorm today, right? And if this was a Sunday, I would have my show up, the rainy Sunday show, because as a kid, whenever it would rain, I would get a stack of comic books, and then I would jump on the bed and I would read comic books as you could hear the rain on the roof and stuff, right? Very relaxing. That's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way it's meant to be, right? So we're going to hop on in here and show a few things. I'm kind of excited. And I'm going to let you know, for you people that are new, feel free to subscribe. It's okay. Make sure you comment. The comments make the live show. Be part of the conversation. Because I played around with YouTube. Been doing YouTube a long time. Been collecting comic books a long time. And when you have those two combined, I can kind of make you feel all right about any advice I may end up giving, with a grain of salt. Because I played around on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of people who have been collecting comics for a hot 5 minutes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've seen some horrible advice, some horrible monetary decisions, and some horrible, horrible takes on comics and stuff, right? So, that's just part of it. You know what I mean? Live and learn, live and learn. But anyway, as you can see here, I have some free comic book day stuff that was left over. Okay. So basically, as I was saying in a live show just not 10 minutes ago, trying to use YouTube Live, that crashed. So that may still be up. I only lasted a few minutes, but I have no problem repeating what I've said again, right? Oh, look at this. The Sumerian is here. Great to see you, brother. There's some Conan in here, just to let you know. I'll be interested in what you think, right? So one of the things I do for my job is several times a month. I go out and I have to travel, kind of local most of the time. Then every now and then you have to go a little bit further. And I had a coworker with me. The coworker wanted to stop and they wanted to smoke. So I knew where a comic book shop was. I took advantage of the situation just a little bit for a few minutes. And I was able to not only run in and get some bags and boards, but they had a whole stack of leftover free comic book day stuff, guys. So I quickly flipped through that, and this is what I found. I did not attend Free Comic Book Day. I have not attended Free Comic Book Day for a while, but I remember the days when Free Comic Book Day started, and it was glorious. It was glorious. So I'm pretty sure, depending on your local comic book shop, Free Comic Book Day probably depends on how much effort they put into it, right? Then I'm going to do a little critique here because the first thing you're going to see is the Marvel must-haves. Okay, the Marvel must-haves, right? So this is a pretty thick for free. This is a great deal, right? And it comes with a few reprints and a few advertisements. And I'm assuming this came out last month during Free Comic Book Day. But yeah, we have a little advertisement here. Get the glare off there. But they reprint what I think may be the first chapter of Ed Brubaker, Steve Epstein's glorious Winter Soldier. Actually, one of the few home runs, in my opinion, of Marvel since, to be honest with you, since Avengers Disassembled. Okay, you know what I mean? So we get a chapter of that to bring it in, and it blows my mind. Guys, help me out, but is this story not over 20 years old now? This was a time where we were getting Red Hood, Jason Todd coming back from the dead. And at the same time, this story was brave for you people who may not be seasoned, maybe for you people who have not collected comics back in the 1900s, did not collect comics back in the 1900s. Maybe you didn't realize that there was some cardinal rules to comics, right? The people that stayed dead in comics were Uncle Ben and Bucky, and they brought Bucky back. This got a lot of attention because of that, and also with the Red Hood coming back at the time. And both characters, I think, have been successful. But let's face it, with old Bucky making it into the Marvel movies, he's definitely more of the household name. You know what I'm saying? So this was fantastic. This was cool to get. This took me back. I had the trades of this, right? I've since sold them. Every now and then I'll do a little bit of a purge. Like, what am I really going to read again? And this is fantastic reading. I do kind of, I think this is aged very well. All right, but then we get into some of this other stuff. Oh, we had Brubaker, Steve Epting, artist, right? Out of Time, right? So they advertise a lot of things that are coming out, and then I'm like, what is this shit? Um, Spider-Man Reign Part 2, and it gives us a big catch up of the first miniseries, right? And this was also about 20 years ago with the first one. Guys, if I missed Superman Reign, I think this is coming out in trade. Maybe I missed it or something. I don't know. It's free comic book day. It's advertising. I don't know when this came out with, but the first one was they were pretty much doing I couldn't take it serious because even though I read it, I have it in trade. I found it last year. I remember when it came out. The spoilers for a 20-year-old story, if it is 20 years old, you know what I'm saying? But Mary Jane has ended up dying because of having sex with Peter Parker, who she married, who had radioactive blood. So through their intimate contact, she got radiation poisoned over the years. And they're really doing quite the Frank Miller Lynn Barney take on Spider-Man in the future and stuff, right? And basically, there's a big, huge cyber security web over Manhattan. And they found out that somebody, for security reasons, and we found there was a villain or somebody who was feeding on people through that and all this stuff. But anyway, there's also a prison, and they've taken the Kingpin and they've really turned him into some kind of monster in this sequel. I couldn't finish reading this, right? So yeah, this is the Kingpin, people. This is the Kingpin. Yeah, you know what I mean? But hey, if this is your thing, if you like this take on I mean, by God, that is so Frank Miller of the 1980s, guys. You know what I mean? The big eyes. This is still right up there with 300 with the way the women's faces and stuff, right? So if you like this take of Spider-Man, that's fine. My critiques aren't telling you to not get something unless I specifically say you are wasting money. But if this is your thing, good for you. But yeah, I was just sort of like shaking my head. Um, I like things to be different. I like when people take chances. Um, but sometimes we're just being real derivative here, and we just don't want that. We don't want that. So yeah, some people may, if you found this fun, if this is your thing, hey, that's cool, man. But having Spider-Man go full Spawn and Frank Miller is just not my thing. And then I could not get through this. This is Phoenix, Phoenix miniseries or something came out. That had come out before. There's Nova. There's all kinds of stuff going on. It was just a cluster. Yeah, I was like, no, thank you. Right. So moving through this Archie Comic Spectacular, this was fun. A lot of great things going on in this. A lot of different stuff. We harken back to the 80s with a little bit of a Jughead, and instead of the rolling boulder of Indiana Jones, we have a gigantic, looks like a rock cheeseburger. If you know Jughead. But yeah, this was just fun. And then they had their own take on Deadpool meeting Captain Pureheart, right? So I am a sucker, guys, for when these guys turn into do their superhero thing, right? And I'm not talking about the Impact Comics Archie heroes, if you know what I'm saying here, with the shield and the web and all of those guys. This is all fun. This is all fun. These are fun characters, right? But I'm always a sucker for when the proper Archie gang go full on superhero. I get a kick out of it, right? I also like when they did their take on the Man from U.N.C.L.E., the Man from Riverdale. I think that's what it was called. So yeah, no, realizing that Archie has been around for 80 years, I think, guys, if we're coming up on this. But there's a lot of great takes in this. This is a great way to introduce them. They take chances with them. I'm not saying that everything is a ballpark, but I tell you what, man, the fact that I'm convinced the Archie comics have survived because they stayed in the grocery stores, I think that had a lot to do with it. So we've got a lot of people in here, guys. Great to see everyone. Greetings from across the pond. Yes, this is Afro, isn't it? Afro Sci-Fi. There we go. 9:45 p.m. in the UK. It was 4:45 here on the East Coast of America. Thanks for being up with me. Appreciate that, man. Hey, John is here. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. John is the role model here, the example. Always subscribed. He has hit that bell, and he knows when these things start. He's usually the first one commenting. I threw him for a loop today. Hey, Fainer's here. Good afternoon, Howler. Long time no see, I do believe, if I'm remembering right. And then we got one alternative take on Spider-Man that I did like was Spider-Man Noir. That's what I'm saying. We come down to a matter of taste where people are doing something new that clicks, and then we get things that I feel are just sort of derivative, but they took a chance and they tried. You know what I mean? And I'm not shy about it. I don't feel like I'm being negative. I'm just being truthful. But the Marvel of the last decade, up to 15 years, even all the way to where Bendis did Avengers Disassembled, is not the Marvel of old that people still kind of wish for. And it blows my mind that we're over 20 years with some of that stuff, right? So it is what it is, so anyway, this is fantastic. I'm always glad to know that Conan is still going forward, but not only are they doing going forward, I'm not a big fan of really mixing Conan with the superheroes, how Marvel did with the license. And who is this? Is this Dynamite Boone? Oh my goodness. I'm live and I'm going blank. Titan Books, excuse me. Titan. Is it Titan? Titan got them now? Obviously it is Titan. Titan puts out some great stuff, right? When they do their library editions and reprints of licensed properties, even when they were at other companies. I've heard a lot of great takes on Conan here. I, of course, am really not going to change. My favorite era of Conan will be the Savage Sword of Conan magazine. That was just in the house growing up, late 70s all the way through the early 90s there. I have quite a few of them. I had some of the Dark Horse phone books. I saw them go to Dark Horse, go back to Marvel, which I was like, what the hell? And, and I'm glad I didn't really dabble into too much of that stuff. I'm sure there was some gems in there. And now they're at Titan. And I remember Free Comic Book Day when they put out their first thing. And there was someone drawing exactly like John Buscema of old with the Savage Sword stuff, which I'm sure is and collecting some of these trades and stuff, right? So we get, like I said, we get a sample of what Titan is doing here. They got the lore down right. We got the Hyborian Age map. You know, I'm always a sucker for that. I'm always trying to, despite growing up reading Conan, my trivia is very limited. You know what I mean? Conan to me, the character. I grew up on Conan, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, which I still think are fantastic. I've become very much more forgiving with the second one, The Destroyer, knowing that Hollywood got in there. I became a lot more forgiving of that one after I talked to Roy Thomas about 25 years at HeroCon. I actually had my DVD signed by him, and he gave me some behind the scenes stories with him and Jerry Conway about how they were trying to save the movie from being Hollywoodized, you know what I'm saying? So know what was going on. But we have, the grim Jim Zub and Ivan Gill artists doing here. I like my artwork to be a little bit more grounded. I don't like a lot of the thin line work. The stuff reminds me of the fact that I feel like maybe the artist felt like the colorist was going to make up for a lot of quick pencils, if you will. Who knows? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but that's how I read this stuff, right? But there's still some great panels in their art, like this panel here, definitely saved by the coloring. So, we can nitpick or we can just have some fun here and hope the story goes straight off. So yeah, I'll definitely check this out. Take my time reading this, see where they're going. Now, this reminds me of L. Spragg the the Campy, or I think of Conan, right? I actually have a book that I'm trying to get through where it kind of starts out with Conan climbing a wall, if you will, to sleep with his. He was working for, he was working in for, I don't know, I don't want to say their version of an army, you know what I'm saying? But he was working for a little bit of a kingdom, and the captain of his guard, he was actually climbing the wall to sleep with his wife and got busted, right? Guys, I'm seeing internet issues. Let me know if I'm still here, guys. And I'll just keep talking. So, yeah, this Titan stuff, it seems like they have the spirit of it correctly. Scourge of the Serpent, new event starting this fall, right? So, yeah, looks like we're getting away from, a lot of things here and moving forward. A lot of books that can still explore, so great stuff, fun stuff, very retro, with the take of people doing that. All right, thank you, Lefty. You're saying we are good. Appreciate it, brother. Okay, good to see you, Lefty. Appreciate it, man. So we got Boom Studios here, right? Boom 20th anniversary, and we get prints of Berserker. You know what I mean? Keanu Reeves, Matt Kent, No Vowels. That's the trick. Irredeemable by Mark Wade, right? Where it's part of this universe where Superman. God, there was two books, Irredeemable and then something else. But basically, Superman went nuts. He had enough. You know what I mean? Like he was like, "That's it. I'm taking over." And Irredeemable was where the script was flipped, right? Superman becomes the villain, and one of the villains ends up being sort of the hero a little bit. They ran side by side. A lot of people love that stuff. Love that book. Good for them, man. Mouse Guard. This is what I was wanting to show, right? So with all the stuff that I've been showing you with the thin art, a little bit derivative, definitely with new takes. One of the staples that you see is that there are still, to me, people who are artists. You know what I mean? Like they're not just making a comic; they are remembering that this is an art form. And we have Mouse Guard, Tale of the Night King, Nightfall, and Villain. And this is just fantastic stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? Medieval tales of the Mouse Guard, and the Mouse Guard have little villages that they protect, and the ultimate are their knights who are in Mouse Guard, because in this world of mice, everything in nature is trying to eat them. That's their lot in life, and he's made quite the mythology here, if you were world building and stuff, right? So yeah, anytime this stuff comes out, I will put Mouse Guard against almost anything that's out there now, depending on what you're looking for. And then we have Hello Darkness. I don't know what this is, but it's by Teeny Howard, Chloe Brailsford. So whatever. You know what I mean? So this stuff could be fun, but it looks like Paper Girl's grown up to me with that horrendous coloring. So yeah. Speed Racer, Speed Racer or you don't. I'm a Racer fan. And this is one I'm going to sit down and read. I accidentally picked up two, apparently, but they put out a Will Eisner comics biography. So we'll see what that's all about. Will Eisner being one of the guys, one of the main guys that came up with the rules of storytelling and different things to do. Okay. All right. So, and then there was three books here. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I overpaid for these three books. Uh, there's a story there, but it was one of those things where they had to look up the prices online. I had four books. I thought I was trying to haggle with the guy a little bit, and I gave up and just paid, the one book, the last book made up for everything, right? So basically, this is a 1987 four-part miniseries by J.M. DeMontes, however and Keith Giffen with Dr. Fate. They were high on life with their Justice League, which Dr. Fate was a very prominent member of, there for a few issues, but he had more going on in his miniseries than he really had going on in the Justice League book. And this was direct market, so I did not get to get it. Do you hear what I'm saying, guys? So anyway, I finally have part 3, and over the last couple years, I was able to get part 1, part 2, and part 4. So I finally get to read the story complete. I also know there was another miniseries that Keith Giffen did maybe before this, but this one leads into J.M. DeMontes doing an ongoing series that was recently collected finally in an omnibus of Dr. Fate that a lot of people have praised over the years. And I've got a huge chunk of that run. Another Planetary book, right? I now have two complete sets of Planetary. The one that I collected as it came out after I caught up with the book. And then I was trying to get a second set because I want to send this off and get it bound, if you will. I'm ready to have some books bound. I want to get a Captain Victory run of Jack Kirby bound, which I have ready to go. My Sword of the Atom stuff bound, and Planetary bound, right? The problem is that this is the last issue I needed. It looks great. It's a white cover, but when I got it home and started going through this stuff, I'm going to have to start checking this, but this high quality paper, I don't know if it's going to show up, has yellowed. The white borders has yellowed. So this is a very good reader's copy. And guys, I have Planetary. I think I have the first, I don't know how far I got, 17, 18 issues in of, I think there's 28 of these. Oh, and I could be wrong, but anyway, I have a playlist of Planetary reviews where I go issue by issue into a deep dive of each genre in comics and characters that Warren Ellis was doing, because this is the archaeology of the history of comics with a ongoing story on the surface. This is just brilliant. This is probably one of the top 5 comic books I would say that people must have in their collection, along with like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, James Robinson's Starman, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Fantastic Four, John Byrne's Fantastic Four. You know, that's classic runs. John Byrne, Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, X-Men. And of course, George Perez, Marv Wolfman, Teen Titans, things like that. I would have all those in there, right? So we're just going to have to keep up with finding another Planetary number 11 with better pages inside, right? It happens, right? But this made up for everything, right? I believe this came out in 1995. This is a Paul Chadwick, Dave Stevens cover. This is Rocketeer Adventure Magazine number 3, and this was published by Dark Horse because Kimiko went out of business since issue number 2. Dave Stevens was notoriously a perfectionist on his artwork. The Rocketeer Adventure Magazine had 2 other parts. They started out like in the 80s. They had a Disney movie come out around 1990, 91. And here lately in the last couple of years, there has been Dave Stevens mania, where all his books and all his covers seem to be going off the charts on eBay. So there is a fantastic, and if you can find it, I think it may be on Tubi. It could be on Amazon Prime. Just check your streaming services. But I ended up appreciating his work so much more after watching this documentary on Dave Stevens that's out there, and his relationship with Betty Page, the way that the man, the pinup art, everything that he did. He was just such a perfectionist. I'm definitely going to probably break down at some point and get the complete Rocketeer stories for all of this stuff. But the artwork in this took years to come out, and I know he didn't just work on this all those years, but every panel in here is just perfection. I mean, it just blows my mind. Look at this. We go slowly here. I mean, there's really not a lot to say because Dave Stevens' artwork speaks for itself. This blows my mind. Okay, guys, and where is it? And then, of course, he made Betty Page popular all over again. Great stuff, guys. All right. So now we're going to get to the good stuff here in just a second here, man, because I had an Amazon order come in, and let you see some of the stuff I got here. What we got here. The Conan interior art. Oh, come on now. Come on. Am I froze? Oh, no. I'm frozen. There we go. How long was I frozen, guys? It's not a Howler Mouse stream if we don't have problems. All right, the Conan interior art and is great as the cover artist. Robert De La Torre is amazing. He has a real Buscema feel for that is great. All right, guys. So I just saw that I froze up. Let me know the last comic you saw because the fantastic book that I was going through was a Rocketeer, and I would hate that you guys missed any of that stuff. I'm about to move on to some other stuff. So let me know the last comic you saw. Yeah, I'm just going to knock it up to the storm. Something's going on out there, right? So I found this at a 5 and below. For you guys that don't know, there seems to be these stores popping up in strip malls and malls that are just full of pop culture, toys, and affordable electronics, and posters, and books, and candies, and chips. And they're called 5 and below because everything in there is supposed to be $5 and below. And apparently, this 2001 edition of uh, it's a big world Charlie Brown was there, and I think this actually cost about 350. I think I don't know. I have to look at it and stuff, right? But apparently, this is a bunch of reprinted strips of Peanuts, Charlie Brown, as I call them, from 1997. And I absolutely adore Charles Schultz and Peanuts. I'm that kid. Actually, the first art that I did was getting the Sunday strips from the grandparents' newspaper because those were the ones in color. And I would get a piece of paper when I was like 4 years old and a pencil, and I would just meticulously draw Charlie Brown. And I actually ended up winning an art contest at a little summer festival in my small town when I was 4 or 5. And it was two things. It was Charlie Brown that I drew there. I had memorized everything about him. Who knows how well I actually drew it, as a kid. And then I also did this painting of the sun, a house, and a butterfly and a tree. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Charles Schultz. That is good stuff there, right? And then we found this at a Barnes and Noble in Kingsport, Tennessee, right? We have an oversized trade here by Alex Ross. Okay, guys. So this is an Alex Ross oversized trade. And basically, this is a Marvel. It's called Marvel. And this was a sort of a sequel, I guess, to Marvels by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. And as he explains Alex Ross explains on this one page, if I'm understanding this right, I still need to kind of get in there and look at it. But this reprints a 4-issue series, 6-issue miniseries, if you will, with all sorts of people. It's an anthology series. We got Beginnings by Bill Sienkiewicz, right? We have Alan Weiss coming in. We have Gene Ha coming in doing art. So Xander Cannon writing with him. Mark Waid writing a Wolverine story with this artist. Over here, this was what we have here. We have The Boy and the Brute, Kurt Busiek writing, and Steve Rude, and all sorts of people. So we have tons of them. And so far, it seems to be a little unbalanced with what's going on. And Mark Waid, and Alex Ross comes in here with his forward, and he explains, hey guys, this is what I originally envisioned Marvels to do back in the 90s, where it would be an anthology series and stuff. And Kurt Busiek and he ended up writing that fantastic story, retelling the Marvel Universe history from the 30s until the late 60s and stuff, with the death of Gwen Stacy closing out the late 70s, closing out the Silver Age, right? Golden Age and Silver Age Marvel. And apparently the guy here that is the protagonist, if you will, is Nightmare. And I'm telling you what, for a first page, this dialogue is horrendous. Okay, this dialogue is so freaking bad. I mean, I read this and I'm like, oh my god, that is so uninspired and straightforward and fanfic. I think this miniseries came out in 2021. But luckily the artwork is fantastic. People sleeping, Nightmare's telling us who he is, no personality with how he's talking. It's just horrible, horrible dialogue. So luckily we go straight into a couple of the anthology stories. The artwork is real experimental. This actually reminds me of like 90s DC when they were playing around with things. A little vertigo-ish. I think it's hard to get around. Um, this art here, you're either going to like it or you're not. It's very expressive, very sloppy, uh, very childlike to a certain extent. Feels like a storybook. Um, I wasn't real happy with it. But then luckily we come in and we have The Boy and the Brute that I mentioned before with Kurt Busiek and Eric Powell of The Goon coming in. So as you can see, uh, you get a variety of artists, a variety of writers, a variety of stories. We'll see if it's, I think it's already very unbalanced, right? So that's fine, right? But like I said, we get some great art by. There's a Black Widow, I believe. Yeah, Black Widow from the '60s, before she got the skin tight suit and she was still a Russian spy messing with Hawkeye's brain. And throughout it, we have Nightmare, their version of I think it was an old Doctor Strange villain who haunted us. He rode around on his actual steed and would do things in the dream realm with us while we were sleeping. Anyway, I always sort of saw him as Mephisto with dreams. Let's put it that way, right? But anyway, we have a Dan Barrington story with great Dan Barrington art. Okay, get that off of there. Dan Barrington, I'm a fan of, and of course he should be doing the '60s version of the X-Men because his palette and style of painting goes back, feels like a pulp era to me from the '60s. Just the fact that he can just do this stuff, right? So as you can see, I think this is worth picking up. I found this at Barnes and Noble for $9.99, guys, and I'm sure there's another Eric Powell story with him doing art. So, like I said, a lot of great stuff in here, a lot of uneven stuff that I've seen so far, a lot of expressive stuff, a lot of indie styling. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, some of this artwork reminds me of child books for children with the bright colors, the color pencil look. So maybe it's a thing. Steve Rude is in here. Steve Rude is a must buy, especially when he's with Nick Fury here. So yeah, there you go. Some unused sketches and stuff by Alex Ross. This was originally $29.99, $37.99 if you're a Canadian. And like I said, here's the trade. It's oversized, and there's your average comic. That's how much bigger it is, right? I can't wait to try to find a place on my shelf. So this is good stuff, guys. I think we got past some of the internet issues, but I want to be shooting something, right? So, guys, for you guys that were able to stick around and have some patience and get in there, we have made it to the good stuff, right? Because today, I had an Amazon order come in, right? And I was very happy to get this. I had to run outside to get it out of the rain. I just happened to check because of the rain. It got here early. This wasn't supposed to be here till tomorrow. And of course, they're upside down. Okay, so we have two books here, and I'll tell you the story of the books. I ordered these on Father's Day, this past Sunday, right? So basically, I was watching these two books, right? These two trades, if you will, right? And they were discounted massively, right? I could not believe they already were discounted as much as they were. I'm like, oh, great. Now is the time to hit these, right? But amazingly enough, what happened is I didn't order them immediately. I was going to finish up what I was doing, come back in about an hour, go ahead and order them. And that hour paid off because for some reason, two things happen with Amazon, right? I do not have Amazon Prime. My wife has it, okay? But you'll get free shipping if you spend over $35. So that's one of the reasons I was going to do some math and stuff. But two things happened. I had a message waiting for me saying, you're just such a great customer. We're going to go ahead and give you free shipping for 24 hours or whatever you buy. So I didn't have to go up to $35. I was like, great. And then another thing happened. They had a buy one, get one 50% off sale. Okay. And these books both qualified at the discount price. So I got 50% off of one of these books at the discount price. These may not have even come to $12 a piece, guys, okay, for that 2-hour window for whatever reason, right? So the first thing that you're seeing here, and this is why I may shoot a regular video, this is volume 5 of the Ultimate Collection through IDW of the Mirage Studios stuff, right? This is my era of Turtles. I'm in 1984 to 1993. That 9 years, guys, that 9 years, those are my Turtles. That is the Peter Laird stuff, the Kevin Eastman stuff, right? The micro series and everything, right? I was able to sporadically see some books. I have sporadic issues of the original Mirage Turtle Studio. If you know me way back, I had first prints of issues, I think 3, 4, maybe 5 that I took to Heroes Con and sold, and things like that. One of my buddies was with me. But this is my era, and this is the last volume because this is the City at War. Eastman and Laird actually did not do many issues of the 50 original 60 some issues, whatever it was, 62 issues, I think. The original one, they had people come in like Von Bode. They had people like Mike Zulli come in. A lot of people came in and experimented with the Turtles and told stories and stuff. Then they would come back with their main story. And with issue 50, I think it was started in issue 48, but with issue 50, we had City at War. And that was the last 12 issues to kind of end the series. Eastman and Laird were back. The Turtles were a pop culture phenomenon by this time because of the Saturday morning cartoon show and the toys and everything, right? But this is the ones from the comic, the ones where a ninja goes, "What are you? Oh my God, you bleed!" And they would look right at the ninja and say, "Yes, I bleed, and so do you," and cut his head off. But anyway, this is the issues 55 to 62, I think, of City at War. I've got sporadic issues between 50 and 54 or something like that. And I'm gonna get volume 4 when it goes on sale also, right? But this is the good stuff, guys. This is the end of my era of Turtles. To me, the Last Ronin. The Last Ronin was plotted during this era. It was a leftover plot. So yeah, this is the Mirage stuff. This was building up to the end. We get the covers in there. Number 56. So between 50 and 55, I'm probably missing one issue, probably, right? And this is just the good stuff. The black and white. It's kind of wild seeing it on this glossy paper. I'm not going to comment on the binding or how well this is, but I'm really forward to looking at this story and pulling out the issues that I have. Splinter up against something. Oh man. Oh, this is great. So anyway, I'm looking very forward to finally finishing City at War, and I believe I got the first issue to started in 92. I think it was like in 92, 91, 92 or something. But anyway, I am long overdue to finish City at War. We're actually going to be putting a chapter together there, right? And then we come over here to Treehouse of Horror. I don't know what's going on. People are dipping out. I'm seeing my internet mix up. So yeah, we may do just a regular video here in a little bit to show these, maybe a 10-minute video. But we have Treehouse of Horror, Slipcase number volume 3. God, this was originally, this one was $45 American. And like I said, it's that 50% off of a already discounted book. This might have been $12, maybe $13. I couldn't believe it. And these are just fantastic. Once a year for a few decades there, we had a one-shot come out from Bongo Comics into the tradition of the Simpsons TV show, where they would have an anthology one-shot book, Treehouse of Horror, and they would bring people in to tell horror stories, satire horror stories and everything with using the Simpsons, just like the Treehouse of Horror things. And over the years, they got more comic book people. They were able to get celebrities. I have an issue where it's an all rock issue pretty much with Gene Simmons and Ron Zombie and stuff. So these collect those one shots, right? And this is the 3rd volume. They are in a slipcase. That is the cover there. This is die cut to where you can see it. And in this they tell you exactly who is in the book. I'm going to read it for you. We have Xandar Cannon, Gene Colan, Garth Ennis, Gilbert Hernandez. You hear that? Doug Munch, Phil Noto, Steve Sakai, Lynn Wein, Bernie Wrightston, Rob Zombie, Marv Wolfman, and many more. Gene Simmons and stuff. So I know where we're at with here, right? famous fables and devilish delicacies, right? So there's my haul, guys. This came in. I'm going to be able to read this. Oh, man. Yeah, it looks like I'm on a huge delay, guys, because I just got this comment about Rocketeer, and I have moved on from that. So I'm going to go ahead and call the show. If you make it to the end here, hey, I cannot control the internet, whatever it's causing this, either the website or my internet. It is, do not believe it is my internet. I want to feel like it's either YouTube or StreamYard. Not that it's real important to point fingers here, but make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for sitting in there. I'll be checking comments on the rewind and checking out to see how this came up with. And I may do a short video on my phone since it's really not come on, let's face it. Is it really a Howler Mouse show if we don't have a technical issue? So anyway, thanks for everybody that's popped in. Thanks for everybody that stuck around. Thanks for everybody that watched this. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Juneteenth. Be excellent and read your comics.